Iran's largest state-owned bank, Bank Sepah, went down, with all ATMs offline and the government unable to pay wages. Even the military might face delays in payments. Then, the largest cryptocurrency exchange, Nobitex, was raided, and $90 million was wiped out. Iran used this platform to sell oil and buy weapons. With the exchange shut down, it effectively cut off Iran's war machine. The attackers, who call themselves Predatory Sparrows, claim responsibility. However, the real danger isn't just to Iran. It may be a rehearsal for an attack on China. Iran's banking system is similar to China's. Both countries, on Huawei's network equipment, use Oracle databases and have similar firewall structures. It's like two buildings using the same company's locks. Once a thief figures out how to break into one, breaking into the other is just as easy. From the results of this cyber attack, it's clear the hackers have the master key. They know where Huawei's devices are vulnerable, how to breach Oracle databases, and where the firewalls are weak. These tactics have already been proven effective in Iran. The problem is, China's financial system isn't much stronger than Iran's. Major banks like Bank of China and ICBC use Oracle databases and SAP software. Public funds, such as Social Security, healthcare, and housing accounts, are all stored in the same government cloud system. If hackers breach one point, they can access everything. The government's self-reliant system still relies on foreign technology. It's just rebranded with Chinese labels. Now, the same hack that worked in Iran could easily be replicated against China's banking system. The financial vault of the Chinese Communist Party was compromised, with hackers taking the key. The Israeli hacker group, Predatory Sparrows, successfully infiltrated Bank Sepah in Iran, which essentially serves as the CCP's financial agent in the country. What exactly does this bank do? In simple terms, it acts as an intermediary, facilitating secret transactions between China and Iran. Payments for Chinese oil purchases from Iran go through this bank. It also handles transactions for Chinese military equipment sales to Iran and processes Huawei and ZTE orders in Iran. Essentially, this is the hub for bypassing the U.S. financial system for covert dealing. The U.S. has known about this bank's operations for years. Sanctions documents reveal that since 2005, this bank has helped Chinese companies sell missile parts to Iran and has transferred over $500,000 to North Korea on behalf of Iran. Now, the situation has become much more serious. While the Israeli hackers claim to have destroyed the bank's data, the real concern lies in what they took before destroying it. The stolen data could include lists of Chinese radars and communication equipment supplied to Iran, blueprints of gray accounts from Chinese banks like Quinlan Bank, details on military cooperation funds under the Belt and Road Initiative, transaction records involving digital currencies used to bypass sanctions. The bigger issue is that this bank used Huawei devices and Chinese Inspur servers. If Israel now holds the vulnerabilities in these systems, they may have access to even more of China's financial networks. The most embarrassing aspect of the recent cyber attack on the Iranian bank is Huawei's involvement. According to Iranian technicians, Huawei submitted a security evaluation report of over 5,000 pages to the Tehran government. Then they deployed more than 20 boundary detection nodes, 40 redundant firewall channels, and used their so-called national version of Harmony OS to control all network traffic. What are boundary detection nodes? These are the sentinels set up at the network entry points, specifically monitoring for any suspicious individuals trying to gain access. What are redundant firewall channels? These are multiple firewalls, so if one is breached, there are many others to protect the system. Huawei confidently called this a self-reliable technology. Chinese state media followed suit, claiming it was a response to Western technology blockades and a breakthrough for non-Western countries' information sovereignty. But the reality is that the Israeli hacker group Predatory Sparrows managed to break through this so-called impenetrable system in less than just 3 days. They gained system access from the back end, able to retrieve whatever data they wanted. Huawei's so-called self-reliant technology is actually just a patchwork. The core of the operating system still uses the foreign open-sourced Linux kernel. The database software is still from the US company Oracle. The communication protocols are all Western standards. Huawei merely wrapped a domestic shell around these foreign technologies and then claimed it was self-reliable. Even worse, Huawei has left a backdoor in the system for remote maintenance, essentially a master key for themselves. The US and Israel had already identified these vulnerabilities, but never made them public, waiting for the right moment to exploit them. This shows that the CCP's claims of being a cyberpower and having technological breakthroughs are a joke. No matter how many detection nodes, how thick the evaluation reports, or how complex the protective systems are, they are meaningless against opponents who truly understand the technology. Through this attack, the Israel alliance validated several key points. First, conventional military equipment might be useless in the face of a designed war. How many warships has the CCP built over the years? Dozens of aircraft carriers, destroyers, and frigates. Thousands of fighter jets, including J-20s, J-16s, and J-10s. Missile defense systems include the Dongfeng series and the Hongqi series. But in designed warfare, all these could be significantly less effective, because no matter how many warships China has, if its command system is hacked, they turn into floating coffins. No matter how advanced Chinese fighter jets are, if their communication systems are jammed, they become blind and deaf. No matter how precise their missiles are, if the launch commands are altered, they could hit their own forces. Second, China might already have lost half the battle even before it got a chance to fight. In traditional warfare, it's a back-and-forth exchange where both sides openly face off, but designed warfare doesn't give you that chance. While troops are preparing for an offensive, the enemy could have already crippled logistics systems with a cyber attack. Soldiers can't get their wages, weapons can't reach the front lines, fuel supplies are cut off. A battle could be won on one front, but lost terribly on another invisible front. For example, a missile might successfully sink the enemy's warship, but at the same time, the enemy might have used a cyber attack to collapse the financial system. This is the biggest warning Iran has given to the CCP. In the face of new types of warfare, traditional military thinking may already be outdated. The hijacking of Iran's financial system was essentially a technical demonstration for Beijing. The real question is, did Beijing understand the lesson? If the CCP still believes that its banking system is secure and that a major country can't be hacked, they should take a hard look at this alarming fact. In 2023, the leak of customer information from Chinese banks reached 23 million records on the dark web. This number is not an estimate or internet rumor. It's a real product listing on dark web trading platforms. These records were sold one by one, priced and distributed professionally like products on Amazon. The leaked data includes real names, ID numbers, bank card numbers, phone numbers, home addresses, birth dates, professions, and account records, basically a complete personal identity file. What's even more shocking is the list of banks with leaked data. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, has 7.5 million leaked records about the entire population of Hong Kong. Bank of China, 2 million records. China Construction Bank, 1.3 million records. CITIC Bank, 1.2 million records. Agricultural Bank of China, China Merchants Bank, Pudong Development Bank, and Everbright Bank, 1.1 million records each. Mingsheng Bank, Industrial Bank, Bank of Communications, Ping An Bank, 600,000 to 1 million records each. Regional banks like Beijing Bank and Hangzhou Bank leaked 150,000 and 170,000 records respectively. What's even worse is that there's no way to trace where the leaks came from. Why did this happen? It wasn't a single night of hacking. It was the result of long-term infiltration, gradually eroding the financial defense line. One source revealed, 10 years ago, an ST2 vulnerability could have breached a bank's headquarters. What is ST2? It's a vulnerability in Apache Struts 2, a minor web framework issue that allowed hackers to break into internal banking systems. This flaw is notorious in the international security community, yet many Chinese banks haven't fully patched it even today. Why? Because fixing it would require system reconstruction, which is costly and requires outsourcing, not to mention the auditing process. No one wants to deal with this hot potato, so the vulnerability has remained, only to be exploited. Once a bank is hacked, the immediate response is not to notify customers, but to cover it up and secure their own position, rather than focusing on securing the network. Inside the banks, there's an unspoken protocol. If a system malfunction occurs, they first self-check and self-rescue. If a hacker infiltrates, they delete the traces and reboot. Even if they discover a data breach, as long as it doesn't cause a customer uproar, they'll delay reporting it. Some banks even continue to use stolen customer data for marketing analysis after the breach. Bank employees know about this. IT managers know about this, but customers don't. Those in the are too afraid to speak out because speaking up means facing consequences. The industry has long operated under this unspoken rule. No exposure, no reporting to authorities, no trending on social media. So here's the question. Does the CCP truly not fear a collapse of their financial system? The answer is, of course they do. But how much do they fear it? They fear it so much that they'll refuse to admit being hacked, even when they know it happened. Every year they conduct HVV drills to cover up system vulnerabilities. An HVV drill stands for Red Blue Team Drills, where the government organizes a red team to simulate a hacker attack on the banking system and see how the blue team, the banks, defends itself. During these drills, almost all the bank security managers, operations directors, and even bank presidents must be present, working tirelessly around the clock, watching over servers. This is because they understand better than anyone else. The domestic firewalls and level 3 protection they tout can't withstand a real attack. Ironically, during one of these drills, someone took advantage of the situation and stole real customer data, only to be caught by the police. This incident highlighted a key issue. Even internal tests easily accessed core databases. In other words, China's banking system isn't untouched by hackers. It's compromised every time, but no one admits it. A classic saying in the industry is, there are only two types of network systems in the world, one that has been breached and the other one that doesn't know it's been breached. The leak of 23 million banking customer records wasn't something done quickly. This is the result of hacker teams operating with slow and steady methods over many years, stealing a few thousand records one day, a few thousand more the next, quietly and without leaving traces. The database was already packaged and sorted, categorized by bank, city, and even credit score, with set prices for each category. In the case of a real attack, can these systems be fixed? Let's break it down. For just ICBC, there are over 10,000 servers nationwide. The data nodes could number in the hundreds of thousands across the country. To rebuild the system, clean up the back doors, and completely replace the equipment would cost at least 300 billion RMB and take 3 to 5 years. Yet a cyber attack could incapacitate the entire payment system in just 1 hour. This doesn't even account for risks in cross-border settlement systems, union pay clearing, international remittance systems, or the People's Bank of China's back-end gateways. In the case of a breach, you might be able to check your balance, but you can't transfer money. You can log into your app, but wages won't be paid. You can issue invoices, but you can't collect payments. This is a case where the system is still there, but its functions are dead. Iran, with its smaller economy, has been under sanctions for years and has emergency measures in place. But what about the CCP? China's economy is over 20 times the size of Iran's. Banking services cover 1.4 billion people and tens of millions of businesses. 90% of foreign trade depends on US dollar settlements. The core technology of the central bank digital currency, ECNY, still relies on US chips and the SWIFT peripheral channels. If it spirals out of control, it won't be just a banking crisis, it'll be a global crisis. What's happening in Iran today is a warning. China's tomorrow could be a tenfold amplification of that. The most absurd part is that whenever a large-scale data breach happens, the first reaction isn't to urgently reboot the servers or update security components. Instead, they quickly write an internal report on the information system security incident, which is then sent to the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission and the Cyberspace Administration, with another copy handed to branch managers for recitation exercises. There are no external announcements, no internal discussions, and the system is deemed resolved once it's rebooted. What many don't know is that the CCP's banking system doesn't have a complete wartime financial takeover mechanism. What does that mean? It means that if the entire banking system crashes due to a cyber attack, there is no financial combat plan, there's no manual settlement channel, and there's no paper voucher system. Does any bank have offline emergency accounts? The answer is no, and no one dares to bring it up. During the 2022 Xi'an lockdown, many citizens found that their health codes were invalid, bank branches were closed, and transfers failed. At the time, the official explanation was network congestion, but the reality was a failed test of the local financial network's external network blocking plus system disruption, which caused widespread issues with in-branch services. Dozens of branch offices had to temporarily switch to WeChat to contact headquarters. This was a failed drill of a simulated attack, but no lessons were shared publicly. Here's another example. The CCP aggressively promoted digital yuan in 2023, claiming it was to de-dollarize and strengthen sovereign currency control. But if back-end servers were hacked and the key vault cleared, the entire ECNY system would be able to be taken over. Or maybe, a power outage or link disruption could turn millions of users' digital wallets into nothing more than decorative items. These issues can't even be tested by the People's Bank of China. This is because the system is outsourced to commercial cloud platforms, with layers provided by Tencent Cloud, Huawei Cloud, and Mobile Cloud. The security audits are mixed in with government big data platforms, and when a problem occurs, the first thing they do is hold a meeting to assign blame, not to fix the system, but to protect their positions. Here's the darkest irony. Some banks are still massively purchasing so-called domestic firewalls and domestic operating systems in 2024, with procurement documents stating compliant with Level 2 certification. If you casually check the firmware versions of these products, you'll find that the core is still based on the Linux kernel and foreign open source components. The only domestic part is the brand logo and maintenance contract. This is the truth about the CCP's cybersecurity. The system has never been secure. The regulators pretend they don't see it, and no one dares to investigate data leaks. Domestic replacements are merely a rebranding. When war comes, no one will know which switch to flip, or even if the switch still exists.